The access to Thorp Creek will be done using a system called Master Lock Vault. And you will need to download, and we've emailed this out previously, you'll need to download an app called Master Lock Vault onto your phone. And that app will allow you to open the gates. None of these things can be shared with anybody else. Your tag is tied to you, and your Master Lock Vault will be tied to you and to your phone. The way the locks work, it tells us, the software tells us who opened the lock, when they opened the lock, tells us how long the lock was open. It'll tell us when you close the lock. It'll also tell us if you don't close the lock. And in any instance where the system senses that there might be some type of issue with that lock, it will freak out and start sending a group of people notifications who will then come to the range and track you down and find out what happened. There are also cameras on the lock, and they're tied to the lock, and those cameras take a photo of your license plate, both the front and the back of your car, when you enter and when you exit the range. I am not particularly interested in the tracking capabilities. It's not my favorite thing either, but we felt in order for us to make sure that our range remains a private range, we needed a way to track who was coming and going, and we needed a way to make sure that information wasn't being shared. So that is the point of this system. It makes it very easy for us to manage it and for you to get in and out of the range. So you do have to have these tags on your person anytime you're at the range. You should be prepared to display them if the request is made to do so. Okay? Next slide, Carrie. So these are the different types of tags that you'll see. By and large, all the founder members will have a green tag. All the LEO members will have a blue tag. And the challenge coins belong to our first 25 members. When our first 25 members have completed the opportunities, the asks that we've given to them to be a member of that group, they get their challenge coin. And so if you see any of these three tags, that's a pretty good indication that person is a member. Okay? So I talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm going to give you some directions through Thorp Creek. So the dead man's tree you will see is directly in front of the gate. And that is a reference to General Gage, who was a British commander at Lexington and Concord, telling his troops that there's going to be a dead man behind every tree. That's what the reference is. It doesn't actually mean we're going to shoot you if you go past the tree. So don't anybody say that. Okay? It's just a reference to our history. But that tree does divide the sections of the range. That's its purpose. If you head to the right, you'll be headed towards the pistol range. If you head to the left, you'll see the... Yes? Do we have an extra member here? No? Okay. Left to the rifle range. So there's no one-way signs or anything. You know, it feels weird going on the left side of the road, but you can turn and go on the left side of the road if you're just going straight to the rifle range, to the right to the pistol range. There's a green maintenance building that you'll see directly to the south, and there is a driveway that leads to that building. Don't block that driveway. Don't park there. We will have a lot of parking signs to direct you where you can park, where you shouldn't park, which direction you get to certain facilities, things like that. So just heed the signs and make sure that you're not blocking something where someone's going to have to get in and out, especially in an emergency. That green maintenance building has some emergency-related items in it, fire extinguishers, bleed kits, things like that, and somebody may need to get in there, and if you're blocking it, you're just impeding that. So don't block that. We will periodically have range closures. If there is any portion of the range that's closed, there'll be a barrier there that will tell you that it's closed. And that's if a portion of the range. So if the rifle range is closed, there'll be a barrier that tells you you can't park here, the rifle range is closed. If the pistol range is closed, there'll be a barrier that says you can't park here, pistol range is closed. If the entire range is closed for some reason, then the gate itself just won't open. Okay? Next slide. Okay, I mentioned the two parking areas. We have parking directly next to the rifle range. It is to the south. Um, the pistol range is up on the ridge behind the cemetery, and that's to the right. When you follow the road, you'll come directly into that parking area. So I want to talk about the road. This road has been my baby for the last almost 8 months. I found out it's not easy to build a legit road, very quickly. 2,000 tons later, it's not easy. It is one way, and it is one way to entering traffic. So if you're exiting the pistol range, you will come up on the hill and you can see the gate. It's out in the distance, but you should easily be able to see a vehicle that is entering. If you see a vehicle that is entering, you need to heed access to the vehicle that is entering and wait for them to get into the pistol parking lot and get parked, and then you can exit. You do need to use a little bit of common sense there. If you're entering and there's already a vehicle exiting, then you probably need to wait. But then if there is another vehicle in line, they need to wait for you if you're entering. So we're all going to have to work together here on the road. I made it as wide as I possibly could, and I'm at my limit now, and I can't quite get two vehicles past each other. There is an S-curve. The S-curve traverses a valley, and it is wide enough on the S-curve for two vehicles to pass. So if you find yourself in that situation, find the edge and somebody heed a little bit and let somebody else pass. The first time you see it, all of this will make sense. And if you've watched any of the videos that I've put out, I've done 2 videos where I drive the road. If you've watched any of those videos, you've seen the S-curve. Another piece of advice on the S-curve is when you're entering, you need to be entering on the left side, come in on the left side of the road, and take the corner up the hill wide. It is only 9 degrees of incline on the left side. It's 11 degrees on the right side of the road. So the corner itself, the outside of the corner, is much flatter than the inside. If you try to run up that 40 miles an hour, like a race car driver, you're going to hit that corner on too high of an incline. You're not going to make it up that hill. So you need to get over on the 9-degree area where it's suitable for any vehicle can traverse that. We've had large trucks. We've had construction trucks up it. We've had BMWs and Dodge Challengers and all myriad types of vehicles up and down it on the outside of the corner, no problem. And it was built that way for a reason. So make sure that you're taking that uphill side wide. There are also turnarounds, especially up on the pistol range. Before you enter the parking lot, there's an area that when you pass by it, you'll think, oh, where does that road go? That's not a road. Don't go down that road. You will not make it down that road. It's a turnaround, and it's there so that if you're in the pistol parking lot and you need to back out and turn around, you have somewhere to go that isn't in the road itself, okay? And it will be marked. So don't park in those turnarounds. It may impede the ability of folks to back out of the parking lot if you're parked in the turnaround. There are also 2 spaces reserved for the maintenance building. Those 2 spaces are also marked as no parking. And those are for our RSOs to park in when they're there, or other individuals who are there that are there not to shoot, but to actually do maintenance or work out at the range, okay? Next slide. So this is what the app will look like. I'm going to recommend you go ahead and download this and put it on your phone today so that you've got it. We will show you what the app looks like if you want to come back there so that you can see it. I'll also be sending out several videos on how to open the locks. I will tell you, this was built, this system that Master Lock built was actually built for military use at facilities that need multiple access but that have heightened security. And so they made it as absolutely simple and easy to use as they can. It is very literally a 2-step process. You open the app, You click a button on the lock, the app will say, hey, there's a lock here that you can open. Do you want to open it? And you click it and it opens. That's it. There's no codes to put in. It's all tied directly to your cell phone and your phone number and email. So when you log into it, only one phone can have that app on it working, okay? And so you can't, it's near impossible to, I haven't figured out a way to mess it up or to keep it from working. So if you want to see what it looks like, you can come back there, the tables will show it to you. It's very easy to use. Next slide. So if you download the app, it's not going to work today, right? Because we haven't actually put anybody's information in and told it this person has access. You'll get instructions in an email closer to your access date, and all it's going to ask you to do is confirm on your phone. You'll get a link, you'll confirm it on your phone, you'll tell it your email, that's what your account is tied to, and it'll say, do you want to set this up? You click yes, and it sets itself up. We program the system to tell it it's okay for you to access it, it knows, okay? We do have some common reasons that the range will be closed. Some of this is out of respect for our neighbors. Some of it is out of respect for the cemetery. We're trying to be good neighbors to everybody out there at JJ. You've probably heard some of the controversy surrounding Texplex. It amazes me that facility has gone in. It's a daytime facility. You know, it is open on the weekends, but it's not that loud. We've been out there a lot, and we've hardly ever heard anybody. Once they get back in the woods, you don't even know if they're there. And I think right now, Ken, do you remember there's 4 houses on the market out there?
At the current time, yes.
Since Texplex opened, 4 people have said, I'm selling out, I'm not going to stay here with this facility. And that's okay. I think that's probably a knee-jerk reaction. Oddly enough, the only people that have been unhappy with us being there live closer to the other range that's 2,500 feet away from us than they do to us. And I think very quickly they figured out that they haven't been complaining for the last 44 years about Taneycomo Rod and Gun Club. So it's really probably not a good idea for them to complain about us. So that's pretty well leveled off, and I don't think we're going to have any issues with it. We will be closed on Easter Sunday, 4th of July, Christmas Day, and deer season. We're closed during deer season because the Missouri Department of Conservation requests shooting ranges, even private shooting ranges, to please close for safety. And we do have a large, very large tract of land that we do know Johnny Morris allows certain people to hunt on that's directly behind us. And there will be stands up and there will be people hunting back there in deer season. This only applies to rifle season. It does not apply to alternative methods. Alternative methods, black powder, handgun, for us are far less dangerous than rifle season is. So it'll just apply to the youth and then the general rifle hunting season. We would be closing for this period of time, no matter what. We'll use that time to do maintenance. We've kind of made the determination that having 1 or 2 people there that are resetting targets or something to that effect, especially if they're inside the berms, there's very little chance that something, an accident could take place. We'll be closed if there's a funeral at Pine Top Cemetery and each Memorial Day. That's out of respect for Pine Top Cemetery, which is in our backyard. I will tell you that we have done our best to communicate with the folks that manage that cemetery. They have done their best to not communicate with us. And that's fine. We did our very best. And we do ask, though, that if you are out there and you're shooting and you happen to see or hear or there's indication that there is a funeral, please stop shooting until the funeral is over. We're going to try to give them that respect, and we hope someday maybe they'll return the favor. We have asked that they give us notification. If they do give us notification, we will have signage up that states a time frame in which this funeral will take place, and we'll ask that you not shoot during that time period. We may periodically have groups like LEO and churches and training that is taking place out there that will probably close a portion of the range. When we have trainings, it'll be opened up to the membership first. And if we fill it with members, that's great. That's all that will be there. We may periodically have non-members who come to training with trainers, that trainers want to bring with them. So when we do have those trainings, there will be some of the range closed, but our policy with the trainers that we are working with right now is our members get first dibs on all the slots. If they sell them to you, or if we possibly get a grant that covers cost and we can do it either for very cheap or possibly for free, we get first dibs on all the spots, okay? When HPD, BPD, or FPD are out there, they may be on the whole range for a day, they may be on half of the range for a period of time. We'll notify you when those times are, but they do have sometimes when they have to do qualifications that they will need the range for their purposes, and so we'll close during those times. If we are doing maintenance, for example, on a weekly basis, we'll have folks out there that will be painting targets, resetting targets, changing targets. That's mostly going to apply to the steel targets on the rifle range and the targets on the steel challenge range. So we may close for an hour or two for that. You'll get notification of that when it takes place. Next slide. All right, the fun stuff. I shouldn't have to say most of this stuff. I'm sure everybody here knows it. I'm going to move through it pretty quick because I think that everybody here has been through safety training. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here. But these are our mandated safety notices. No loaded weapon is allowed anywhere on the property except on the ranges. Pistol range 1, pistol range 2, and the rifle range. On pistol range 1, that is the steel challenge range. That is rimfire only, and that is a single shooter, okay? That range is set up so that you can take your .22 handgun and you can go plink. It's all steel targets, okay? Pistol range 2. Pistol range 2 is set up to shoot from the stand first. That's the priority. But if you're there alone or you have a group that agrees they're not going to shoot and you want to fly the red flag, which I'll get to in a moment, we don't mind if you want to go out there and pull from the holster, practice something like that, or just step out on the range so you can do a little bit of movement. We're not going to restrict you on that. It just has to be done safely, okay? And if there's a group there, if there's 4 or 5 people shooting on the shooting stand, you're just going to have to wait. That range is from the stand priority, always, okay? Follow the 10 commandments of firearm safety, which are in your range rules. Eyes and ears are required at all times, and that includes when you're changing ranges in your vehicle. Just because you're in your vehicle, you can't take your eyes and ears off. If you're on that property, you need to have eyes and ears on, okay? Be safety aware at all times. If you see something, say something. I would much rather somebody say something and it be nothing than you say nothing and it be something, okay? We have a phone number. Somebody from the range is always carrying that phone. We have an email address, text, I don't care. Get a hold of us and let us know. I have no problem, taking a look at something. If I need to do an investigation, we'll do it. That's part of being safe on the range, is you have to tell us if there's something unsafe or we're not going to know. Next slide. We have a red flag rule. On all the ranges, you'll see a PVC tube, 6-inch PVC tube, and it has a label on it that says red flag. If at any point anyone is ever out on the range, beyond the shooting lines, you have to fly the red flag. So if somebody doing maintenance on the rifle range, even if you can't see them, they're going to put that red flag out. If you see the red flag, you don't shoot. You don't even load your weapon. You'll wait until they return and take the red flag down. Same on the pistol range. If you call a cold range and you want to go change targets or move targets around, the very first thing you do after you call a cold range is you need to fly the red flag. That will alert anyone that comes up later, maybe behind you, didn't know, you called a cold range. The red flag indicates don't shoot, there's somebody on the range. Okay, next slide. So, if that flag, if you show up and that flag has been flying for more than 30 minutes and you don't see anybody moving around on the range, doesn't mean you can remove it and just start shooting. You need to call us. and let us know, hey, I'm here, I'm on the rifle range, I can't find anybody, the red flag's flying, it's been flying for 45 minutes. We'll send somebody out that can go out on the back of the range and figure out what's going on, okay? Let us deal with that. Don't make that decision because you don't know, okay? Next slide. Hours of access. So the lock knows when sunup is. It knows when sunrise is. If you're ever caught out at Thorp Creek, and you go up to the gate and it's 8:30, and you decided to, I'm just gonna say take a nap, I'm sure you wouldn't be shooting after hours. And you can't open the gate, we're gonna give you one get out of jail free card. Somebody will come out there and have to let you out. But the second time around, it's gonna cost you. I'm only gonna give you one. If I gotta drive all the way out there and let you out because you didn't follow the rules, you're gonna pay for my time. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I think everybody here is gonna follow the rules. But in the case that they don't, we would be in violation of both the laws in Taney County from a code enforcement perspective and Missouri Department of Conservation. There are times outside of which a shooting range cannot have shooters. So you need to heed those. It's 1 hour before sundown or 6 p.m. and 1 hour after sunrise or 8 a.m. Okay? We don't allow the carrying of CCW on the range. Doesn't matter if you got a permit. Once you get out of your vehicle, you have to follow all of our rules. So you can still carry your CCW weapon in a holster, still concealed, just cannot be loaded, and it must be open and showing safe, and that includes revolvers. Those are basic firearms laws. I know a lot of people have asked us, can we carry our CCW? And the answer we give you is no. It's just safety, and that has to come first. You know, somebody doesn't know you've got a gun, that creates a problem. It can also create a distraction for you, so we don't allow it. We have a leave no trace policy. There will not be any trash cans sitting around Thorp Creek. You gotta do the Boy Scout rules here. If you brought it in, it leaves with you. That's any trash. The exception to that rule is brass. We will have brass buckets. If you don't want to take your brass, that's okay. You still need to sweep it up, and you'll need to put it in the brass bucket. We do have a member that reloads, and I think he's planning on doing some reloading. And so you might be able to buy your brass back, and I think he'll probably give you a pretty good price. Range commands are on page 9 and 10 of the range rules. Make sure you learn those. If there's an RSO present, they'll be the ones giving the commands. If there's not an RSO present, which we will not have an RSO there all the time, then you need to know those range commands and make sure that you use them on the range. It's just an easy language for shooters to understand if we all use the same terms and they all mean the same things. So you can find that on page 9 and 10. Next slide. There's no smoking except in the parking lots. The trash rules still do apply. Both of your butts got to leave with you, okay? I'm not out there to pick up your cigarette butts. I'm a cigar smoker myself. I'll take mine with me too. So the obvious rule there is I shoot a lot of black powder, and I don't need somebody flicking their cigarette in my black powder. It doesn't work out very good. So no smoking. No rapid fire, no fast draw. You're not White Earp, Billy the Kid, or the Man with No Name, or any other fancy cowboy movie, okay? You may draw outside the shooting stand, which means single shooter only. So either you're there alone or you have the agreement of the other shooters on the range. Or if we do have an RSO present and the RSO agrees, they will help give commands if you want to go out on the range and shoot as a group, okay? Strong side only, no cross draw. That should be an obvious one. Weather, if there's lightning in the area or high winds, we ask you not to shoot. The shoot houses especially have metal roofs. You know, there's lots of trees. Something could get struck by lightning. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary, especially if you're standing there with a giant hunk of metal in your hand. That becomes a problem. High winds, we're more worried about the trees. We have gone to great lengths and pains to save as many trees as we can. And a lot of our big pines that we had to take down, some of which were over 100 years old, we are having those milled and we'll reuse them at the range. But I don't want the wind to take a tree down and take you out with it. So in that case, you need to exit the range. If local schools are closed due to weather, we'll be closed. If it's not safe to drive, it's not safe to be out the range. Okay. On the pistol ranges, the center fire range, we will have a rotating group of steel targets. And I wanted this because I think Texas stars, shooting stars are fun, but Texas stars and falling plates are a lot of fun. But on the steel, there's no Magnum, no plus P, and no 5.7 by 28. A lot of that is the wearability of those targets. We want them to last as long as we can get them to last. But even with frangible ammo, Magnums and plus Ps create a lot of scatter. And you very well could get hit with that, and we want to avoid that. No closer than 30 feet on that steel target, and only frangible ammo. This applies to the center fire range, so this is pistol range 2. And the reason we want you to use frangible ammo is to limit that interaction with cast off. I personally have been hit twice when shooting IDPA, both times with 9mm, and it's not comfortable. I've had about a 2-inch chunk taken out of my arm that came off of a cast off of a 9mm, and I was too close to the target. On the rimfire range, it's 22 LR only, no Magnum. It's single shooter only, and it is all steel targets. So even with 22, you still need to remain 25 feet away. Now, if you have a group there that wants to just target plink and you want to move some of the targets around, that's fine as long as the whole group agrees, and you have to stay at the firing line. So pistol range 1 is always single shooter priority. If somebody is there shooting and you want to go plink, you need to wait. If a group is there and you want to line up on the firing line and you want to shoot straight on at targets, that's okay too, as long as everybody agrees. We do have a stand, we have a shooting bench that will be on pistol range 1 where you can do 2 things. You can shoot a rimfire rifle. There's no rimfire rifle allowed on the general targets. This will only be from the bench. And we will have a paper target set up for that, so you can put paper targets up if you need to sight in a 22. We'll also have it set up so that you can pattern a shotgun. That will be from that bench only, and that is the only place that it's allowed. There's no steel core ammo, I can't stress that enough, allowed anywhere on Thorp Creek. Not on the rifle range, not on the pistol range. It does too much damage, and it creates too many opportunities for accidents to take place, especially with cast off. Okay? Okay, next slide. The next 4 slides are the ones that frustrate me the most that I have to talk about this stuff. But I want to make sure that everybody understands how serious we are about respect for your fellow members and about safety at the range. We will not tolerate any derogatory, racist, sexist, hate speech, bullying, harassment. Anything of that nature that gets reported to us that we substantiate, you'll be immediately trespassed from the property and we'll terminate your membership. I'm not going to put up with it. It has no place in what we're doing, and it has no place in our society. Our team is a culture of cooperation, helpfulness, and support. If you have suggestions, please come talk to us. We're very open to making adjustments at the range, adding things at the range, moving things around at the range, but do it respectfully. If a member alerts you to a safety violation, listen to their concern. If somebody says, hey, I think you might still have a round in the chamber, if your first reaction is, forget you, that's none of your business, you're not going to be at my range for long. You need to respect that. If somebody has a safety concern, you should be participating in safety with them. If they ask you to show safe, you show safe. If they ask you to see your member ID, you show it to them. I fully expect everyone here to ask me for my member ID. I'm not immune to that. I can't wait for the first person to ask me. All RSO directions are to be followed on the range. And if you're unhappy with something at Thorp Creek, you come and you talk to Thorp Creek. Don't air your grievances publicly. We're an open door. Come talk to us. We'll listen to your concerns. I'm going to let you figure out what our general doctrine is on your own. Carrie, if you want to. This is a private range. It's not a club range. There's no committees, there are only owners. And the decisions that we make are made in the interest of all the members, not solely for us or solely for one individual. You will find out very quickly the doctrine that we believe in. If you choose disrespect, you'll be trespassed off the property, your membership will be terminated. The safety, comfort, and enjoyment of every other member is more important to us than one single member alone. We're not here for you. We're here for all the members. Next one, Carrie. So that's why I'm reiterating this point, is if you've been at a shooting stand or utilizing the range for more than an hour, let someone else shoot. It will even out. This has been one of the most asked questions. What if we show up, and why don't you have a sign-up system? And that's not the kind of range we're running. We want everybody to get all the shooting in that they want to get in, but at the beginning, we're brand new. We know everybody is going to want to use the range as often as they possibly can, but it will even out. Just be patient. But that's the reason that you just paid your joining fee, right? The balance of this year, we're not charging you for. Okay? Any other members that join after this year, they're going to pay a lot more money, almost 3 times as much as what you paid to get in. So the reason we did that is because we know there's going to be some adjustments to be made 4 to 5 months out of this year. And we're just asking you to be patient. Okay? Okay, next slide. Another question we get asked a lot of guests at Thorp Creek. On this slide, I have made sure that the word private is used several times. I want to make sure that everybody understands what a private range is. If everybody here brings their 10 best friends every day to shoot, that kind of defeats the purpose. And I've had that question asked. There's a lot of reasons we're a private range and not a public range. The main one is that as a private range, we get put in that category where we can make requirements of you, like background checks and safety training and things of that nature. As a public range, we can't do that. We also get hunked into this group in public ranges where they want you to put in certain types of things in your range in terms of baffles and backstops that are engineered way past what anybody really needs. And the cost on that would be something like $250,000, and your dues would be about $2,000 a year. We don't want to do that. If you want to do that, go up to Sounds of Freedom. They have that type of facility. You can pay them $25, $30, and you can go shoot up there. That's not what we're trying to do here. So the range is not open to the public. It's members only. All founders can bring a guest once a year, and you can bring 2 in a year, and that's it. The purpose of that is not for them to come out and hang out and have fun and be a distraction. If somebody is interested in membership, take them out there, let them shoot. If you just have a friend that's coming to town, you want to take them out there and say, hey, this is a great facility, that's okay, right? But it's not for you to bring that person every day, every time you come out. If they like the range that much, then they should do what everybody else in this room did, and they should pay the fees, and they should join, and they should be a member. If you refer a member as a founder, they will always be a founder, even after we sell out of the founder memberships. So that's a benefit only that founders get, and that ends at the end of this year. Whether I sell all the 42 that are left or not, at the end of this year, that'll be it for founder memberships. Everybody else will come in just as a regular member. But if you as founders ever refer anybody, they'll always come in as a founder member at the same dues rate that you did. We will have a mailbox. If you do bring a guest at the maintenance building, they'll need to fill that information out. And then you'll leave it in the mailbox for us so that we have a copy of it. And you are responsible for your guests. When you see the paperwork that you have to sign, it's slightly different than the normal application, in that you have to sign it to, and it says, I've taken responsibility for this person. That's a requirement if you want to bring a guest.